Hello, friends. My name is Joel Peter, and this is a year and a bit past when I deleted my Twitch account, stopped streaming for that year, and managed to get myself together. Now, it's been, no shave November, Movember as they call it, so that's why my beard looks like trash, but that's okay. To talk about today, I was actually inspired to discuss this after realizing, hey, I hit a year without realizing it, and intentionally is what I'm trying to say. There's a YouTuber here who was talking about human trafficking of all things. My girlfriend was watching the video, and I noticed at the end she was talking about streaming, and she talked about how she enjoys streaming, and I felt necessary to leave a comment and say, hey, be careful. I want to talk about what's improved in my life in the past year. I haven't become so much a better person than I was before. Some ways I have. But in that year, what I've managed to do and where life has taken me. So, the year is 2011. I'm feeling kind of crappy. My life's not going too well, and I pick up Twitch. I'm like, okay, the streaming's kind of fun. I found an alternative to YouTube. YouTube was starting to pick up, but then I started to realize I didn't want to edit my videos. So I started streaming and streaming and streaming. I know you know still how the story goes, right? We're not going to get into that. I managed to basically destroy my entire life with Twitch. I managed to overindulge and spend far too much time on a pointless hobby. Don't get me wrong, I learned valuable skills, I made some friends, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But just like every experience in life, there are some downsides to it as well, and there are things to be learned. Twitch gave me a chance to open up a community and gave me a great learning opportunity. But in hindsight being 2020, would I go back and do it again? No, I would not. Strictly because the whole live stream platform, the whole technology behind live streaming and just how it works is so mentally exhausting, you don't even realize it. So that is something that after 7 years, obviously drained on me. And by going cold turkey from streaming entirely and not catering to an audience, I've managed to find an enjoyment in games I, wanted to finish. I've managed to watch Netflix series and enjoy hobbies again. And most importantly, I've managed to rebuild relationships with my loved ones. You can say all you want about the life I was living previously with streaming and where I am now. I'm not going to say I'm a better person because of it. And I'm definitely not going to say that you're going to end up at the same path I did. But what happened in that time after quitting my channel, after deleting my channel, after quitting streaming, was quite a bit of a wake-up call. In my first year of college, I was high into my stream career. And yes, I'll call it a career because that's in a way it was. I put 7 years into it. And, I definitely was building those skills and not making enough money. I'll tell you the truth about that, but that's not for this. So I spent, during times when I wasn't going to school for radio, I was, in fact, streaming. I spent a lot of my time streaming. My spare time was spent streaming. And during that time, when I was streaming, I was looking for ways to improve my stream and have fun with it. But I was doing it excessively. Now, most of my friends, most of the people I've spent time with over the past few years know that I was excessive with it. I was obsessive as well. And one of the trademark signs of an addiction is not being able to stop. So that's what streaming was for me. Hands down, 100%, as my buddy Jim had said, it was, in fact, virtual heroin. Because that's what it was. All I was doing for a solid year after I had lost 2 internships was streaming almost every single day for multiple hours on end to the point of exhaustion, to the point that I would pass out on stream. I had lapses of judgment, I didn't think clearly, and I said and did things that I did not mean, and I made a lot of mistakes. But I said what I said. At the end of the day, I had said what I said, and I'm dealing with those repercussions and dealing with the consequences of it. Do I, again, regret streaming in the sense of what I gained from it? The confidence that I gained to be able to talk on camera, the confidence I gained to talk to people. No, I don't regret that, but I wish I would have went it a different way. Again, as I had said earlier, streaming is not necessarily a toxic behavior. It's not necessarily a toxic addiction. It becomes a problem when you overdo it. And what I realized after 7 years is that it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for me the way I was going about doing it. It wasn't working for me with the obsessive, excessive streams that I did for 18 to 20 plus hours a day. And I was starting to build a network as well. There was a saying behind some of my, my network of people that I knew. They were more surprised when I was not live than when I was. And I streamed on YouTube. I streamed on Twitch. I streamed on Mixer, I think. I don't know. I opened up a Mixer account. There was some thing where I wanted to just stream on, not have anyone find my stream, and I found some garbage network. I don't know. I streamed on a bunch of different platforms. I streamed on Facebook Live, for Pete's sake, when I was going home from the bus, okay? It was a toxic addiction for me, and I had too much of a problem. So, what happened in all that time? Well, my grandmother passed away, so that affected it as well. I moved away from my parents. I moved out to Vancouver. I had a few different jobs here and there. What else did I do? I started to work on a podcast, but never came to fruition because I was exhausted from my job. Because of my skills with streaming, I learned how to become more confident person, more confident speaker. And I managed to get my learners. I managed to get a full-time job. I managed to fix my attendance. I managed to even register back for school, because one of the best things here in BC is that education, not post-secondary, but education, primary, high school, upgrading is completely free. So if you live in Vancouver, if you live in, other parts of BC, take advantage of that, especially if your math is bad. I found that, in my career of streaming, that radio was not for me. Part of that was I was too high strung, and I was too, I'm going to use a word, strung out on this streaming thing. I was spending far too much time, wasting time, obsessing, going to /r live stream fails, getting mad because I couldn't get that level of success, asking myself, why am I not as good as these people? I put in the hours. One of the worst pieces of advice I ever got was the term, always be casting, always be streaming. It was not worth it in that sense. The hours that I put in, the heartache, the fact that my power got disconnected, or almost got disconnected once, the fact my internet had to have multiple payment arrangements, which leads into something else. Multiple things had happened to me in that time when I was streaming. And it was, I'll tell you the 100% honest to God truth, it was mostly fine, mostly in check for the first couple of years. But then when my education started to suffer, that's when things I started having a problem. I streamed at my internships. I streamed on the bus. I streamed at malls. I streamed numerous times and was almost always live. That was a problem. I did not have the balance that you need when you are a full-time streamer. And the other thing I noticed too, after I had left, problems with the platform of Twitch had started to, more bubble to the surface. Watching the inner workings behind the scenes and seeing from a partnered channel and watching how their life was not getting necessarily, it was getting incrementally better and not massively better. Watching that, finding out from some people that they did not like me, behind my back and being pleasant to my face and stuff. And I never met these people. But once I found out that my classmates in college were resenting me, and they were upset at me, and some things happened, things went downhill for me with Twitch and with streaming. So let's get to the positives, because I feel like this has been a lot of negatives. After I stopped streaming, I managed to, as Jordan Peterson said, sort myself out. I started to seek counseling, which I'm in the process of finding another counselor here and going to do that here. I've managed to get myself two stable full-time jobs, one at a grocery store and one at a telecom company. And Crystal's putting her thumbs up and smiling. Um, I've managed to apply back for another at BCIT. I've managed to apply for a program, and that's why I'm upgrading my math so I can go into that program, because I found my calling is in computers, right? I love technology. I love working with it. Some other things have happened that, I made mistakes. I said some stupid things, was impulsive. Hi, Joey. I have, left. I've grown up is what it comes down to. I'm still growing, and, I hit 26. Surprise, surprise, I'm 26. But just thinking back on the past decade, we're coming up to 2020. I started my streaming roots on a website called Stickam. I've talked about it. Stickam was seen as kind of the scene girl, whatever. But there's some cool things that happen with Stickam. And I met some people on there. One person I'm still friends with to this day. Facebook friends, but still. Really nice person. Like I said, never met her, but she's super nice. I've watched channels grow. I've watched channels die. My friends are still streaming, and at the end of the day, that's good for them. It's an outlet for them. But I want this to be kind of a warning, a lesson, if you will, of what happens when you let this get out of hand. Now, obviously, I'm not dead, okay? I have heard horror stories. People would send me articles back when I was in my hole, if you will, of this. We'll call it a T hole instead of a K hole. When I was in that mindset, I 100% honest wanted to die. So I would exhaust myself to the point that I would pass out. And there wasn't much going on with me. And after I lost 2 internships in radio, I just said, you know what? I got nothing else to live for. That was how I felt at that point. Hold on. And I remember the day I lost my internship at the Bear. I wanted to jump in front of a bus and kill myself. I didn't, because I'm still here, obviously. But I wanted to die. And I remember losing Shine FM. I realized that, you know what? Hey, one, radio isn't for me because I didn't let it be for me. But, it's an industry that you have to be passionate for. And I wasn't as passionate as I thought I was going into school for it. It doesn't mean that, maybe had I've handled it differently, I might have been different. But anyways, going back to the positives, there's a channel, Alpha Gaming, good channel. I watch channels grow, as I've said, and get really into this Twitch thing. And I think that with all the big moves that are happening, with a couple big partners going to Mixer and all this stuff, and watching the chaos ensue, I realize that I'm glad I pulled out when I pulled out. Sounds weird, but I'm glad I pulled out of that, out of that T-hole. I'm glad I got away from it, because it was making me more of a negative person, and I was very, very bitter, and I frankly probably was using people without even realizing it. And I was an addict, and still have addictive tendencies. I mean, my personality is, I'm addicted to sugar, okay? I'll say this much. In the time I stopped streaming, part of that I quit smoking, but I quit drinking coffee. I try not to have much caffeine anymore. That's hit or miss. Spoiler alert, I've been making garbage TikToks because that's fun to do. I've been getting back into YouTube. And frankly, I work 40 plus hours a week at my job, and I'm exhausted, and I don't have time to stream it. Even if I wanted to, I frankly don't. But I have no desire to return back to Twitch. I have no desire to really stream video games again. I've thought about it. It'd be kind of cool, but frankly, it's as shameless as it's going to sound, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, and you would be an idiot too if you didn't go for it. If people are throwing money at you and they're giving you money to do what you do enjoy, you'd be an idiot not to take that money. with that said, having integrity is important, and that's something I was losing. And once I started making money on Twitch, that's when I started to see that, hey, this is actually a viable platform, and I started lying to myself. And that's when the addiction really ramped up and became to the point of, you know, anyways, it just, that was a big issue. And I mean, I had fun with it, but there was more negatives than positives. Just like any addiction, it starts off fun and then until it's not. And there's a video I saw on TikTok, and it's basically a girl saying about drugs, and she's like, don't do drugs because it's fun until it's not. And that's what streaming was for me. Hence why I called it virtual heroin. So, moral of the story, streaming changed my life for the better, for the worse. And where I am now, I don't think I'd be in that same place if I was, when I was 20, when I was 21, when GTA 5 first came out on Xbox 360, and I sat there at a midnight launch. And I remember being in my friend's house, in his apartment, streaming, being an idiot. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I grew up. And I'm growing up. I got out of that immaturity mindset and started to enjoy life more. Moving to a different location definitely helped. Alberta itself and Edmonton are a cultural wasteland, not full of much opportunity. It's full of jobs, sure, but when it comes to culture, when it comes to everything else, it's depressing. So, I mean, streaming made sense at that point, and there was some personal stuff going on. But anyways, this video has been going on for over 16 minutes. So I just really want to just wrap this up and by saying, if you're looking into getting into this hobby, if you're looking into getting to streaming, you see the lucrative opportunities that come with it. It's a lot of hard work. It will drain you. You will spend inevitable many hours streaming, finding things don't work. Or you might be like one person who finds success and it kicks off for you and it's amazing. But then once your 15 minutes run out, then you're still trying to catch up and you plateau. As an old friend, Twitch friend of mine, Trevelyan, had said, Twitch is like Michael Phelps swimming the English Channel. Most people are not Michael Phelps. Most people have missed their boat. Most people are trying to catch on to the Titanic. Now, I just added that part. But most people are trying to jump on board the cruise ship that has already set sail. With that said, they can find shortcuts that may or may not work, but they are not necessarily going to catch up. And that ship, again, has sailed. I will say this and finalize with this. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. Don't try to force it. Don't try to put yourself into a bubble. Don't try to put yourself in a box because people want you to. Do what makes you happy. Have fun with it, but know your limits. And have people who call you out on your BS. Have people who call you out on your nonsense when you're being an idiot. Have your best friends watch your back. Don't have people who enable you. Don't have people who say yes all the time to you. Have people that will challenge you, criticize you, and take you on. Because those are the people that will help you grow. People that just say, hey, you're great. Hey, you're good at this. Hey. Who don't give you any honest critique, feedback, or criticism. Those ones are ones you don't want around. Because all they're going to do is, the people that are yes men, or all they're going to do is just plateau or they're just going to build up your ego, build up your whatever, and they're going to inflate, is what I'm trying to say. They're going to inflate your ego to no end, and then you're going to be thinking you're higher up than you actually are. And again, that's the nature of the beast, really. And you need people to keep you in check. So, I mean, a lot had happened when I left, but I don't regret leaving. And you shouldn't either if you feel like you have to. So, like it, dislike it. Peace.